Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into a topic that, well, it seems familiar, but our source shows there's a lot more underneath. We're talking about parental deprivation. Our insights are coming from this really interesting excerpt, Parental Deprivation, Causes and Consequences. And our mission today really is to unpack what that term actually means beyond just the surface level and look at the consequences, which are surprisingly wide-ranging.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crucial to remember this isn't just some, academic term. The source really hammers home that parental care is fundamental. It's a basic building block for human development, whether it's there or if it's missing, even partially, it just sends ripples through a person's entire life.
That's a really powerful way to frame it right from the start. Okay, let's unpack this then. When the source uses the term parental deprivation, what are we actually talking about? Is it just about, say, a parent not being physically there?
That's exactly where the source adds some important layers. It defines it as the lack of parental care, but, and this is key, it stresses both the physical and the emotional aspects.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just, basic needs like food and shelter. It's also about that consistent emotional warmth, the guidance, the feeling of being supported. If either of those is seriously lacking, the source says, well, that impacts a child's well-being deeply.
That distinction feels incredibly important. And the source, it seems like it really challenges our basic picture of what deprivation looks like. It leaves out two different kinds, doesn't it?
It does.
First, there's what it calls total deprivation. And that's probably what most people think of first, like a child literally living without one or both parents, maybe through death or separation.
Exactly. That's the more obvious scenario.
But then there's this other category, partial deprivation. And this is where it gets really interesting, because here the child is living with their parents, but they're still not getting adequate care or, crucially, that emotional support.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is the nuance. The source really emphasizes that just because a parent is physically present, it doesn't automatically mean the child is getting what they need.
Right. Like they could be there, but checked out.
Precisely. Think about parents who are maybe emotionally distant or constantly critical or just unresponsive. They provide the basics, sure, food, a roof. But that emotional connection, that consistent support, the source makes it clear that this emotional aspect is just as vital, maybe even more so sometimes, for a child's inner world. So even if things look okay on the surface, there can still be this huge void.
Okay, so if that consistent, healthy care, physical or emotional, is missing, what does the source say happens? What are the actual effects?
Well, the consequences mentioned are pretty significant, both psychologically and socially. We're talking about things like deep feelings of isolation, emotional instability later on, even a higher risk for behavioral problems. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source suggests these aren't just random issues popping up. They seem to stem directly from not having those healthy family role models. Kids learn so much about emotions, relationships, social rules, just by watching and interacting with their caregivers. When that positive modeling isn't there or the care is patchy, it's like they're missing key parts of their internal how-to guide for life. They kind of have to figure out all this complex emotional stuff almost on their own.
That really drives home that this isn't just about one child's struggle. It has broader implications. So how does the source talk about this on a sort of societal level?
Yeah, it definitely frames it as more than just an individual family problem. It's presented as a major societal issue. Essentially, the source views it as reflecting a kind of breakdown in these really fundamental family functions. The family unit is meant to nurture kids, socialize them, get them ready to be part of society. When that's disrupted on a large scale, well, that has consequences for everyone.
Right. This deep dive really shows the just the profound impact and how many layers there are to it that consistent, healthy parental care has, or the lack of it, maybe more importantly, not just with a child, but for society. It's so much more complex than just who's physically in the house.
It really is, and it kind of leaves you thinking, doesn't it? Like, how might really grasping this idea of partial deprivation, that emotional absence even with physical presence, how might that change how we think about things, maybe about what kind of support systems families need, or even just the importance we place on the quality of day-to-day family interactions, not just checking boxes. It's about fostering resilience, not just in kids, but, well, the ripple effects for society as a whole. Definitely something to ponder.